pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do we have any agenda additions or deletions? Nope. Okay. Do we have anybody registered to comment? Nope. Okay, I guess we could start with guest reports then.
We have Mr. Movcheski from the Skillman Corporation here.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Scott Cherry Jr. is going to present tonight.
You almost. And Mr. Cherry.
No, I didn't.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. We're going to give you a little update on the Natatorium project and talk about the upcoming project a little bit with the infill of the old pool. So here you can see right now we're in the midst of pouring concrete for the pool. The deep end, the floor and the walls are poured. This is a shot of the shallower end, and this was actually poured yesterday, so it doesn't look like that anymore. And then we're going to be starting to form up the walls on that shallow end here next week. I think that pour is scheduled for next week. So go ahead. Yeah, there's just a shot of one of the stairwells. Here you can see some of the excavation of the shallow end. This was before all that rebar got put down and stuff like that. This is a shot of the deep end there with all the walls poured. This is the pool equipment pit room that has all the pumps and filtration and chemicals and everything for the pool. And then over here is just some of the form work of the walls for the deep end. We have continuing the concrete work in the pool. The elevator is installed, and I have a photo on an upcoming slide of it. There's just some masonry getting put in around it, and the doors are going to be put in coming up in the coming weeks. We have floor tile going in the locker rooms right now. The girls' side is finishing up. It's probably got a couple days left, and then they'll jump to the guys' locker room. Just ongoing painting and ceiling grid. Aluminum storefronts and frames are going in. Sprinkler heads in the ceilings are going in. Temperature controls are being done on some of the rooftop units, and we'll be installing casework and lockers within the next month. And there's some sidewalks being poured on the exterior that are ongoing. So, yeah, this is kind of just the process of pouring that floor of the deep end. You can see it's stoned here. There's all the rebar right there in the middle, and then the concrete actually poured there on that last one. And then here's a shot of the elevator. There's masonry going in around that, so you'll only see that door opening eventually. And then some of the tile work that's going on in the locker rooms right now. And then this is just a shot with some of the aluminum frames outside of the pool area. It's starting to come together. It's starting to look really nice. So, yeah. And then for the upcoming pool infill project, we got tomorrow. They're actually starting to cut in some of the windows in the shell. It's currently a shell space from this project, but they're going to be starting that work here tomorrow and continuing going on in the coming weeks. So, yeah. Any questions or anything?
When do they anticipate being completed and having it up and running?
By before school is the plan. So
Still on schedule for that?
yeah, everything's going well. So once we get all this concrete work done, they'll do the leak testing and stuff like that. So hopefully all that goes well, and it'll continue going on, so.
I wanna be the first one to swim in it, by the way.
Yeah, test it out.
I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being under that 3-minute mark.
Who's up? Tammy?
Yeah, so put up a
Let's hear it.
presentation for you guys.
All right.
Start off with talking about, we did have the, Jay, can you put that up for me? It's not showing up on my thing. We did have SAT administration on March 4th, and we did receive the results on the 31st. And so we have some opportunities for growth, but we also have some celebrations to share with the board tonight.
Sorry.
Okay. So as he's getting that ready to go up there, one of the things that that came up is that we did have an increase in our scores. Last year in English language arts and in mathematics, we were right at above, or in mathematics just slightly below the state average. But this year, both of those areas, those content areas, we saw an increase. And so can I go ahead and just have that go? Does that work? Okay, so go ahead on the next slide then, Jay. So you'll see that our performance rate this year for Tri-Creek School Corporation and ELA, you'll see that we had a pass rate of 58%. That's what's in the red. In the black is the state pass rate, and that was at 51%. The gap between the two were much closer last year, so we've expanded that gap, which is good, that we want to see. So the class of 2027, so that was the juniors this year, their ELA longitudinal results I wanted to show you since they started taking iLearn in 4th grade. There are no 5th grade because that was during COVID. You can see that we've been slightly above the state average, and so that's excellent. We know that there are, I'll talk about some areas of improvement that we're going to hit upon, but we're doing well in ELA. Okay, next. Math, though, is where we had quite a bit of growth. We went from last year 22% to 32%. So usually every year you can count on maybe 2 or 3 percentage points, as kind of an error of measure there. But this one, actually 10 percentage points is, we feel, really a strong showing for this school year. And the longitudinal rates, you'll see that we've started to finally actually develop that. The gap is improving. The red is Tri-Creek, the black is the state average. And as you can see, we kind of go down from grade 4, and then we mingle with the state average, sometimes below, sometimes above. But we're starting to see the SAT this year, we're starting to develop that gap in between this, as in favor for us. So that's promising. So what do the data tell us? They tell us that we have some celebrations, obviously. The first one being the performance of the kids this year and the teachers, and congratulations to our principals and the whole admin team at LHS. They did a really good job. We put in some things this year with working with interventions, bringing in extra support for the kiddos, and working with PLCs. So great job to everybody who was involved. We saw 4% growth in ELA from 56 to 58% from last year, but we saw a 45% growth rate in between last year's. So if you take last year's at 22%, and the difference between that is 45% growth. So that's a huge reason to celebrate. Opportunities for growth. One of the things that's come about that in our exploration of digging into the data, the reason why that we have populations of students who are performing well, populations of students who are not performing as well, is the data are telling us that we need to improve our multi-tiered system of supports, which means that based on kids who perform on grade level standards, those who need support in grade level standards, and those who need to expand or engage more deeply in the content, we need to provide those supports for those students. We've been working very closely with Mr. Geringer at the high school and with his entire admin team. We work with the teachers, and we've also been working with the school counseling team on ways that We can look at master scheduling, we can take a look at curriculum. We've been working pretty heavily with the middle school with mathematics on engagement strategies as well. So we have a full press into mathematics instruction, and we're just starting to, I believe, see the tip of the iceberg in improvement. And then also we need to we're going to be creating what's called a through assessment through, for math and ELA at the high school. Right now in grades 3 through 8 with the iLearn, they have a summative or a big, huge test at the end of the year. We all know about that one. And this year they put into place the checkpoints. The teachers at the middle and the intermediate schools have been seeing excellent growth this year compared to last year because they've been using those through assessments to determine on those standards, how are our students performing? And they're able to gauge in their PLC process which students need additional support, which ones need more extension of their support. We don't have, high schools just don't. It's not anything that we're not doing correctly, but it's an opportunity for us to develop that as well. So we will be developing end of course assessments with through checkpoints, and those will be the data points that our PLC teams will be working through. So I just wanted to share those results with you with the SAT.
Very positive results.
It is very positive. It's very positive. Other results or things to talk about is I hit upon that multi-tiered system of supports. We've been working K-12 with all the principals, my department has been, and looking at what are the systems that we have in place, what are the supports that we have in place for our most vulnerable students, what are the systems in place that we have for students who need just some additional help with their current daily work, and looking at how as administrators, how do we support that? What are the supports we can provide to ensure that our teachers can provide the nuanced instruction that they need based on our students' needs? We are also talking about professional development, also working on that. We are winding down, obviously, for the 25-26 school year. We've had several hours of professional development. We've been using the 2-hour release days, obviously, for that, for myriad topics. We have a new textbook series that we're also training our teachers on how to use that. The next one is May 6th. We have all of our teachers going there to work with that. We are also then working with Google Classroom, which Jay is, we are moving towards that. So we've been training all of our teachers on how to prepare for that transition. We are preparing for the 26-27 school year. We've been using our checkpoint data quite a lot. We've been using and breaking down SAT results and looking at what are our needs. And our areas that we're going to focus on for next year are going to be literacy. We know that's an area of opportunity for us. We've been growing in mathematics, but our literacy is kind of, as you can see from the SAT results, remain a little bit on the stagnant side. So how can we help our students K-12 improve in literacy? And then, of course, we continue with mathematics. That doesn't go away. So those are the exciting things that we have in the curriculum and instruction department. Are there any questions of where we're going, where we've been? Okay, I think I got it in under 3 minutes or close to it. So.
Are you seeing like a trend from year to year that we're on the rise, or is this like the first year where we kind of had that jump?
So math, if you saw the slide that showed the longitudinal data at the high school, we kind of been seeing the same thing throughout K-11. And we've been seeing kind of some stagnation. This year we've been starting to make some jumps. The iLearn checkpoints, the schedule at the middle school with the doubling of the instructional time, the professional development we've been doing with building thinking classrooms and with more engagement, we believe those factors all together are part of the reason why we're starting to see that concentrated effort and focus. Instead of spreading everything all over too thin, we're really trying to focus in on areas and putting, I guess, all our eggs in those baskets to try to see improvement. And we've been seeing some return on that investment. So now literacy is where we're focusing next year.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay.
Thank
Who's
you.
up next?
Business.
Business, Dana.
So I'm going to start out with food service here. I just wanted to announce that we are in the request for proposal for food service management company. So we've advertised twice. We have a pre-bid on the 15th of April, and we have our bid opening on the 28th. And we'll take those results, and we have to get our recommendation to the state. They have to approve it before I can bring it to the board on May 14th for approval. So we're in that zone for food service proposals here. The other thing food service wise is on the board agenda tonight. You've got a recommendation there for a purchase of a dish machine through CNT Design for our Oak Hill Elementary, $54,451.49. It is a Hobart machine, and we're replacing a machine there that was installed in 1995. And it was running great, but our external booster heater on it went out. And they don't make external booster heaters, they're internal now. So it's very hard to get the parts. If we were to purchase a new one, it'd be about $18,000 for that external booster heater. So recommending that we replace that machine because it needs some work anyways and it's hard to get parts, so.
We got our
So
money's worth out.
That's the original one to the school then?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is. So that's on the agenda tonight for you. I wanted to just let you know that we're under audit for the Department of Education for our grants. So it's a federal audit. It's a remote desktop monitoring audit. And it's for Title I, Title II, and Title IV. We submitted everything yesterday, which was the deadline, electronically, and they're under review, and we'll probably go back and forth a little bit, and so that'll wrap up real soon. So that was a quick one that we had like a 2-week turnaround with
It was fast.
spring break in there too, so it was kind of crazy. Another thing we're working on in the department and working on with Tammy here is that student fees for next year. We're evaluating those and pulling those together so that we can bring them to the board. It's our hope to get them to the June board meeting. We'd like to have that done. So we're working on that. Just want to let you know that we're pulling that together and going through things after getting some guidance from our attorney and guidance from the state. Again, they've given us some further guidance on that. I think the next thing, I want to pass the mic over to Jason Wathen for a second for an update on his end.
So the fun time of the year starts, we're starting chillers up on Monday. So thank you for the staff and everybody kind of being patient with the startup on the temperatures in the building. But we have to time that perfectly so we don't have high costs on the chillers if they get froze or anything like that. So I appreciate the staff on that. We're preparing for graduation and the ceremony of setup and tear down, and if there's been any changes so we get ahead of that curve. Grounds has already started trying to cut some grass, even though between the raindrops, they're trying to get that done so we don't fall too far behind on that. And then following the retirement of Louis Meltzer after 47 years, we, instead of filling the position the traditional way, we decided to restructure and how that's done, and putting some of the head custodians in charge of more than one building to break up that to potentially do some cost savings. So as a result, we achieved a direct wage savings of $15,517 annually, along with approximately $4,650 in benefit savings, leading to a projected annual savings of $20,000 per year for that. The restructuring is one of the proactive measures the district is taking to reduce costs of the offset of declining property tax revenue. Our dedicated custodial team is willing to step up and take on extra duties and support the schools the best they can, even through the budgetary costs, and trying to tackle a lot of different things along with new additions with construction and just stepping up and taking some extra duties and responsibilities. So I want to give that report out.
So we've been piloting that
Yeah.
for like the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's gone
yeah.
really well.
It's
Both
gone
buildings have been
really
very
well.
happy, so
Yeah.
we have kind of tested the waters before bringing the recommendation to you on the board here for tonight to make sure that it didn't put too much of a strain on either building.
And it uniforms the cleaning across the buildings also when you have just that one person in charge of, currently we 2, and maybe projected maybe 3 elementaries under, you know, how as time evolves and that building gets better and wrapped up.
Sounds like we're moving in the right direction.
We're trying.
And it's on the backs of our staff, and I congratulate them on their efforts of helping us out.
Yeah, me too.
Is graduation still being held in the gymnasium?
Yes. Yep. Questions?
No, that's great savings, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Every little
great
bit.
job.
Trying to
Thank
do
you.
everything we can to kind of head that off in any particular fashion we can.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So we're
Dana,
still in
anything
business.
Yes, we're still in
Oh, yeah.
business.
So if you recall, Dana and I are gonna tag team this one. Back in March, we had policy analytics that came to our board meeting to discuss the financial future of Tri-Creek based on Senate Enrolled Act 1. We learned that this is not just a Tri-Creek issue, but a statewide issue. And so tonight, we have 3 slides for you. And so on the first slide, we are outlining the first of an objective, well, we'll get to the objective in just a second. So what we learned in the March meeting was that Tri-Creek's operating fund, which is funded through local property tax, is in the bottom 25th percentile out of all schools in the state. And not only is that the case for statewide, but then if you look at all those school districts listed up there on the screen, it's similar situation right here in our own backyard. So our operations fund is not being properly funded by local property tax, and that is affirmed that we fall in the bottom quartile of the entire state.
And so another slide that you saw last month, only this one's been updated slightly with our new numbers of January and February posted, our cash flows. This slide represents the losses of property tax that we've had beginning with this year as a result of SEA 1 and the changes in property tax collections and what the district will have. So you'll see in 2025, last year, Senate Enrolled Act 1, we had $645,000 in losses of property tax revenue in the operations fund. Due to the addition of SEA 1 and all the credits that our homesteads and all the taxpayers are going to receive on their bills, that jumps to 1.9 million out of our budget this year. That'll be reduced. You can see when you're looking forward and projecting out that the high water mark is that Tri-Creek will lose $2.6 million there in 2029 from its budget. When you look at that, that's a 43% levy loss, and that's 28, that shakes out to about 28% of our budget in the operations fund, which is already slim right now because we pulled bus purchases out of there and put them into debt service and purchasing them kind of on a lease plan. So it's really put a strain on that operations budget, which in turn puts a strain on the education budget. This would be difficult for an actual school district that was being properly funded to begin with, but like Dr. Anderson said, we are funded in the bottom 25th percentile in the state when it comes to property tax revenue there. So it makes it very difficult.
So really the only way to generate significant revenue to address this issue is through a referendum. And so our objective at this meeting tonight is to dial in that dollar amount on a referendum for November of 2026. You'll see 4 scenarios there, asking for our community of 2.5 million, 3.5, or nearly 4 million. Off the top, our recommendation is going to take away the 2.5 million. Why? Because if you look to the far right, even at the end of this cycle, we will still be in a deficit. So why would you run a referendum knowing that you're still will be in a deficit? It makes no sense. And so you look at the 3.99 million, you know, we want to be transparent with our district. We are not looking for extras or for luxury. And for that reason, we need to dial it in to what we need to do to just sustain and survive. We are committed to our community not to ask for excess, and so we're taking the 3.99 off of our recommendation. And so then that leaves us with 2 scenarios that Dana is going to.
Yes, so we're looking at the 2 scenarios that are in the center there, the 3 million and the 3.5. And I'm gonna walk through the columns and what they mean and what they potentially mean to that actual referendum question, because we have to think about how this is gonna read and how it's going to impact our taxpayers here. So I'm gonna start with that 3 million line there, that second line down. There are three components that end up in the ballot question when a taxpayer walks into that ballot box and reads the question and decides yes or no. And those three components are the potential levy, how much money, the 3 million that we're looking for, the rate, which is the next column over, that's 17 cents, a little bit over 17 cents. And then the question reads, to the median taxpayer, the impact will be on an annual basis, and there's a dollar amount there. So Policy Analytics calculated that median taxpayer amount for our whole school district, and it came in at $302,800 for the median taxpayer here, the median home. Now, the law further says that once you calculate it, you have to round up to the next $50,000. That's a big jump from 302 to 350. And so the average taxpayer, the median taxpayer, it would read $350,000. And you can see the column there over to the right, it would say $260. Now, Policy Analytics isn't the authority on calculating this. It would be the county. It would be the auditor's office. They're going to calculate it. And certain counties calculate it a little bit different. They may add in the residential that's in the rental realm, and they may only consider homesteads. So that is calculated only on homesteads. When you add in that rental, it could bring that down and bring us under that $300,000 range, where it might read in that column just to the right, where the impact is going to be $219. So you have a range there once the auditors actually calculate that, which is after we pass a resolution and we ask them to calculate it. So we have to make a decision right now based on what our taxpayers may see on there, and it could be the 219 or the 260. Break that down to a monthly rate, and that's going to be somewhere around $18.42 a month up to maybe $18.75 in that realm. What that does to our cash balance, we are currently sitting at about a $9.2 million cash balance at the end of the referendum, given all of the assumptions that we have in the cash flows there, which would be 3 to 5% in our utilities, insurance, gas. If you think about those, they've kind of gone up a little bit higher than that, but we've got some very moderate 3 to 5%. We've got retention of staff in there. And we also have a 1% coming in increase year over year from the state in our revenue. That leaves us with a $3.7 million cash balance. So we do eat into cash balance, and we go down to about the 8% cash balance range. If we walk through that 3.5 million option, one row down, that would just read over just a little bit over 20 cents on the ballot question. And it could end up being anywhere from $255 to $304 that the taxpayer, the median taxpayer, would pay, and that's what the question would read. That would shake out to about $21, $22 a month, and it would leave us with a similar cash balance, albeit a little bit of a deficit from where we are now, but 7.7 million and a 17% cash balance. So those are the two options that we're considering right there in the center, and I think you can understand why they are not increasing our cash balance. They are not at a deficit, but they are pretty much replacing what we're losing in that end. It is noteworthy to say that the credit, there is that supplemental credit. It's called the supplemental homestead credit. It's new this year. Taxpayers on the bottom of when their bill is calculated, all the way at the bottom of the bill, they are going to receive a 10% or $300 credit. That's 10% of the assessed value that's at the top, or $300 credit. So it's going to be in the $250 to $300 credit, and it's going to be a credit they've never had before. And all of those models are less than that credit that are going to show up there on the median. So it's replacing what we're losing, and it's not asking for more, and taxpayers will still see a reduction in their tax bills on there because of the credits that are built in there.
Is that credit long-term or is it?
It is long-term, it is written into law, yes, so it's in code.
So we are recommending the $3 million as the minimum amount to stay solvent. It buys time for local and state officials to modify the school funding formula. The thing of it is, we don't know what the impact of that will be. And we don't know, whatever they come up with, the then unintended consequences. This referendum in November will require huge community support. And for people who never get a newsletter, never watch the live stream of these school board meetings, who won't come to this or don't know, who won't attend a school town hall meeting, get the flyer in the mail, talk to the word of mouth, they're going to go into a voting booth and see those dollar figures. And so part of the recommendation is about a person seeing $304 per year versus $260 per year. Or maybe that amount will be $255 per year versus $219 per year. We feel that if we're asking for the lower amount, there's a higher potential to get the community support that we need to pass a referendum. And so really, that's kind of where we are, but we're looking for your feedback and your perspective, because after tonight, we need to then initiate all of the legal proceedings that lead up to a June resolution at this table.
Yeah, I think Dana made a good point that, you know, we're asking for what we're losing, not anymore. You know, like you said before, it's not a wish list, you know, it's to meet your bottom line.
To sustain.
And taxpayer, sans the ballot wording, you know, is still gonna see a reduction in what they contribute annually.
And the big point is the tax credit that will negate that later on. And hopefully that comes all the way through. It doesn't, they don't knock it off.
And if there is a solution at the state level to handle this problem, we can adjust our rate. You know, the board can decide on that, the community, the elected board can elect to say like, well, it looks like they solved the problem, we don't need this much now.
Right.
We can lower it back down.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's in good faith.
What the referendum does is it authorizes up to a maximum amount, but you don't have to, as you indicated, go there unless you need to go there.
What's the recommended cash balance?
Recommended cash balance, 16% is what we're looking at. And yes, that $3 million does bring us down to an 8%. But again, there's assumptions in there, and we still have controls where we can adjust things as necessary if we don't see things change legislatively that would support more tax paying, you know, more money coming in from the state or the state funding formula.
Should we roughly sitting at half?
Yes.
What does the question actually ask? Will it ask that we're asking for that 20 cents, or, because didn't the last one ask, the question stated we were asking more than what we were actually asking?
It would basically read, do you support the Tri-Creek School Corporation of increasing your taxes, the impact of this on an average home valued at $350 will have the financial impact on a resident of $260 per year. It will generate a maximum levy amount of X number of dollars.
And 17.38 cents.
You might also want to talk about, why are we doing this now? Because of the law change where we have to do it during even years
Correct.
versus, you know, doing it next year, we can't.
Correct. The law changed so that we can only be on the November ballots, and it can only be on the 26, 28, 30 school years. And that first chart, in just looking at things with all those credits coming in or with all those losses, we would we've got maybe 3 to 4 years before we can't make payroll at where we are right now.
And if we waited till 28, we'd be in
Correct.
trouble, big time.
Right.
Well, this would also help out our current teachers. We'd be able to have a more competitive pay for them to other districts.
We would strive to maintain and try to keep up with inflation, not be competitive.
This has a built-in 3% for salary and benefits combined. Benefits can go up 5% easily, health insurance, and so it would have to be less of a salary increase each time. If insurance went up, like meaning just general liability, like your home insurance goes up, or fuel, everything would be in there. It's a modest cash flow that's, the 3% built in is very modest. It's not where we need to be, I'll say
Right.
that. It's not going to attract teachers to come here necessarily for large salaries with a 3% increase, when I know other school districts with referendums can easily give 5% increases and vary some benefits easily in there. It's asking for what we need and what we're
The last
losing.
referendum was about being competitive.
Mhm.
This one is about survival. Basically, we're asking our public for bare minimum to stay alive. The numbers are up there. So do you feel that that 3 million is a proper amount, or do you feel like we should go to the 3.5 million route?
I like the 3 million and be responsible to the taxpayers to take what we need, no more. I agree with the fact that we're not gonna go with the 2.5. It just doesn't make any sense if we're still gonna be underwater. We've gotta be smart about this, and we get one shot. We're not being greedy, we're just trying to survive.
I mean, is there anything we could send out on like a survey type thing to see what the community thinks about it, as far as the 3 or 3.5, or just?
The reason I wouldn't go down that road is this is such a complicated topic. I don't know that a survey would solicit a response that people really understand in order to respond.
But I think it's imperative that we get out there in the forefront and have town hall meetings and explain and afford people the opportunity to ask questions. And that would be a great time to talk like you did tonight in person and give them the opportunity to ask their questions.
I mean, that would be part of the referendum campaign. I think as the public servants, so to speak, sitting around the table, like this is our job to figure out what are we going to ask for the community. And then we lock in on that. Once the board passes the resolution, then it's about educating the community.
Just as long as the right ones show up to a town hall meeting.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have the word of mouth, you've got to have community engagement, you've got to have support. Again, I keep going back to that 3.5 would keep us where we are right now with that cash balance around 16-17%. But we got blamed the last time that we were lying to people, we didn't need, like, this is not about competitiveness or asking for more, which was built into the last one. Because we desired for that. The 3 million, again, it's like, is something $2.99 or is it $3.10? And the mentality of doing that, we need all the help that we can get at the ballot box in November, and there will be many uninformed voters that turn out.
The 8%, how long can we pay payroll on that?
That's 1 month. Yeah, it's 8% is not 1 month. That is a 1 year.
That's a 1 year.
That's if nothing's coming in, yeah.
Right.
I think an
Yeah.
important point, is that
I don't know how to answer that.
we're the largest employer in Lowell, right? And this directly affects all those people that we pay and employ. This isn't necessarily just a ripple effect on the school, it's the whole community too. I think that's an important thing to think about too, is that we're not asking for, you know, gold-plated name tags or things like that. This is directly towards people, you know, and it's people-centric.
And kids, yeah.
It's gonna take eventually gonna take a toll on the kids in the community too, cause
Big
you're
cut
gonna lose
programs.
teachers to other schools because they're gonna get paid more and your classroom sizes are gonna grow and say like, I got 2 kids in 4th grade and they're got 300 plus kids in that class, so you're gonna have a lot of kids if you lose more teachers, so.
Again, going back to Dana's point, as she highlighted, you're getting a tax credit. And this is, in essence, filling that gap. And many homeowners, if you're average or even less, you would still be money ahead with passing the referendum.
And that needs to be promoted.
So, back to, you feel like it's the $3 million route, it's the $3.5 million route. I know there is a sentiment in our community, because I've heard it, well, the state's gonna go in and fix it. Well, the state's what created this situation. And I don't wanna badmouth the state. I think, yeah, trying to lower property tax, like, that's noble, but it's the unintended outcomes that result in that. And I'm sure something is going to happen in regards to generating some kind of revenue, but I don't know, nobody knows, is it going to be enough? And whatever that formula is then are we gonna get hit and blindsided from another aspect that no one ever thought of?
Yeah, I think 8%, having a month of payroll in your cash reserve is kind of cutting a little close.
The
Dana?
8% makes me nervous.
The 8%, not a month, it'll get us through the year, 3.7 million would get us, but it
Okay.
is tight, it is tight. It is very tight. And I will tell you that the Distress Unit Appeals Board will be knocking on our door and we'll have to go through a plan. But I will also say, again, like Dr. Anderson started, this is not a Tri-Creek problem, this is a state problem. And this is going to be systematic across the whole state. But yes, we'll be on their radar with an 8% cash balance.
Kyle, anything?
The recommended cash balance from Indiana School Board Association and IASBO is right around the 16% mark. Prudent.
You know, I wanna say the 3.5, but my gut's telling me we better just do the 3 million. I've been on the other side of it.
Yeah. Because you look at it, it's an extra $3, but $3 is.
Right, it's tough out there right now, so, I mean,
Okay.
we gotta be, I say we go for the 3 million, put us at 8% and hope that the state starts,
Realizing.
yeah,
I'm with the 3%
fixing some of
as well.
their, issues they have here.
Bobby, you okay with that?
Yeah, I feel the same.
All right.
3 million.
There you go.
It's hard not to go for that 3.5, but
I know.
you hate to turn around and look back and say, what if?
I'm leaning towards the 3.5 a little bit, but I think we go with the consensus here.
Last month, when Policy Analytics presented, there was not, they jumped from 3 to 4 million. We didn't look at a half, because I thought it was right in between there where it would sustain us well and set us up and keep things at the levels that they are now, and it did shake out that way. But again, both Dr. Anderson and I wrestled with that for the last month between those two. And several, we recommended 3 million as a result,
That's where you guys
in the
can go.
same way. Mhm.
Yeah, it's very nice to see the numbers. The more of a visual person instead of just hearing it, so it's tough to say, let's go for the 3 when it's only an extra $3, but.
we will continue on, and again, we're teeing everything up for a June resolution here at the table, and then assuming you pass it, it'll be campaign mode.
Okay.
We need some, this time I think we need some real pictures, not just words. I think we might have to have actual descriptions of buckets.
Yes.
I think it might help.
That's good. We can have you do that at the football game. Go out there and have fun.
We'll leave that up to you.
Next up is technology report.
Yeah, Jay? I see it now.
Sorry.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Two items for you tonight. One, Tammy mentioned earlier this evening that we're doing some training with our teachers on Google Classroom. This is as a replacement to Canvas, which is our district-wide learning management system. Over the past year, as we've been doing a comprehensive analysis of all of our instructional systems to look for opportunities for savings, one of the items that we started looking into is our usage of Canvas across the district. And we started the process with some of our elementary teachers, grades K and 1, to look at what it would look like to move them to something else other than Canvas to see how that would go for the year. We've had Canvas since 2021, and all our teachers have been trained in that. But as we've looked at how Canvas has been used across the district, we found that there was an opportunity that we could move everyone district-wide to Google Classroom, which all of our teachers previously used prior to 2020. We had that all, I should say, we had that in elementary back then. We started talking with our teachers and sharing with them the possibility that we might move that direction and their concerns with that. Given that it's secondary, a lot of the daily instruction is driven by that. And so the feedback we received from teachers was that as long as we provided ample training and support, that they would be comfortable with that move. So Tammy and I started on that process with our building tech leaders and worked with them to come up with some training and some supports for our teachers. So we are starting to head that direction. This should result in approximately about a $35,000 savings yearly for a product that is actually already part of our Google subscription. So there we won't be taking on another product as a replacement for that. Probably the biggest change that we'll see that would impact our community is that I know many of our parents utilize the Canvas app for viewing grades and keeping up with their students' work. All of that information is information available on Google Classroom with regards to assignments, but grades and following how your student is doing with that will move to the Skyward app. All of that will be posted to Skyward regularly for parents, so they'll still be able to see that. So we are very excited about that opportunity. There's some additional features with Google Classroom that it can do that Canvas cannot. So we're excited to see where that goes. The second item I have for you this evening is that with regards to devices, we've talked recently about potential search for some replacement devices for our iPads with some of the struggles that we've had. One big item that has come up recently is House Bill 1004, which is for various education matters, but an item that is buried in there is in regards to educational technology. It's a big change for how we've done things over the last few years. The two of the items that are included in there are, number one, that we have to provide an ability for our teachers to essentially block all non-instructional use of technology during instruction. So our teachers need to have control of the ability to say, I only want students to go here and do these things and nothing else. That's during the instructional day. Second part is after hours, we have to provide parents with the ability to, number one, monitor what their children are doing. They need to be able to block anything they don't want their child doing. And they also need to be able to limit the amount of time that the device is available. So those are features that we currently do not have the ability to do with our devices. So as we're looking at that and meeting the requirements of that, we are taking that into consideration with our device search. So I hope to bring some solutions to the board here very soon, because we're going to need to make a decision very soon, because this is something that is going to go into effect on July 1st of this year. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay. Any board member reports? Nate?
Pardon me?
Board member reports?
Oh, we're not doing superintendent?
I thought we just, he chimed in on the business operations. Okay, go ahead, Andy. Sorry about that.
Cool. All right, so this evening, are some action items. The first one is the non-bid construction items. So we've got, for your action tonight, the weight and fitness room equipment, landscape areas at Lowell High School, and landscape area touch-ups at Lowell Middle School. So starting with the weight and fitness room equipment, we don't need to go out to bid because the purchase is through a state no bid.
It's bid through the purchasing cooperative. So it is a bid process that's already been done for us. Yeah.
So that'll help expedite everything. The weight room and fitness room equipment would fill out and serve our current and improved needs of all of our athletic programs. I think what a lot of people don't realize is your weight training is the foundation of your entire athletic program. And so this is certainly a great investment to our kids. Any questions about the weight and fitness room or the landscape purchase orders that we have?
These are all in budget, right?
They are all within our established budget.
Did we get any donations for landscaping from anyone? Or are we just buying all that?
It was budgeted.
Okay.
The landscaping would be the icing on the cake to kind of bring everything together.
Yeah, that image of pride that's always been at the forefront. So the next time I'd like to update you on are, you can see for next school year, currently we're slated at 203 students in kindergarten. That number will go up, but it's not over the top. Again, we see all these subdivisions going in, and we have on every school's website kindergarten registration. We've published, the information about signing up, but right now the numbers are not showing any significant increase. I did boldface lines 6, 7, and 8, as well as 11 there, and you can see the higher classes are at the intermediate in grades 5 and 6, and then in grade 7. The reason I'm pointing this out to you is because there is a need to add additional teaching positions in those grade levels at 5, 6, and 7. I'll take you to the right side of the screen just to remind, we did offer 5 buyout offers for teachers. Unfortunately, no teachers accepted the buyout. We did that as a measure of cost savings to get higher salaries off our books to replace with lower level salaries. So we then go to the next bullet. We have 1 teacher retirement on the docket. We are trying to figure out if we can enact attrition, not replace it, and transfer someone to that position so that we don't incur additional cost. On the docket tonight is to move our high school registrar to become our data coordinator, and we are looking at the duties that registrar performed and are identifying ways how we can redistribute that workload amongst 2, 3, or 4 other people and not replace that position. We are looking at teacher licensure all across the district to see how we can maximize teacher licensure, address our student needs, and not have to hire additional staff. That's going to get into additional restructuring and additional transfers. And I think what's important that people need to understand, we know this is not ideal. People may need to teach in areas that is not their first preference. But what that does is it eliminates the need for either someone to lose their job or it sets us up to be able to at least consider a pay increase annually to combat inflation, combat the competitiveness of what other districts are doing, and so we wanna make sure we've got options open when that time comes. The last meeting, we approved a revised job description for the Director of Athletic Programs for the district. The current structure were the 3 positions that you see on the left there. The recommended restructure that was board approved would be an overall director, and then we're recommending the 2 assistants. And why the 2 additional assistants? We always knew that as the Natatorium came online, that place will not run itself. We always knew and planned and budgeted years ago that we would be adding staff. Instead of it being a separate entity all of its own, it's now umbrellaed under our athletic programming and facility usage. And so it places a district-wide vision, a community vision, all under one department. Facility usage gets streamlined. If you remember, Mr. Kilmer was here in December, and one person was doing elementary, another one was looking after middle school, and another one high school. This brings it all under one department. A systemic approach to community engagement of our leagues, our feeder programs, our club sports, and how that can synergize with our school sports and our athletic facilities. And the Natatorium for community use and the facility usage from the birthday parties, from the movie nights, from the open swim, the swim lessons, the usage, the membership fees will bring in revenue. So, on the personnel report tonight is another action item. You charged for me as the superintendent to conduct a very thorough and extensive search. The publishing of that position resulted in actually more applications than any other position in the 5 years that I've been superintendent here at Tri-Creek Schools. So it definitely got its traction on the job marketplace. We ran multiple rounds of interviews, interviewed many people, many hours, rigorous questions. And so not only do we have a recommendation tonight for Director of Athletic Programs, but we also were able to identify that assistant director that helps to take on the natatorium duties, the facility usage, etc. But look at that bottom line. Results, a net zero of additional cost to the district. Now, how in the world do you add an additional full-time employee without increasing your bottom line? Well, here's how. You take the retiring base salary of $120,000, and it is replaced with the new director taking this position at a base salary of $49,000. Now, before that jaw hits completely on the floor, that director has the opportunity to get out, market, and secure facility usage. The incentive for that then is a commission-based bonus to then fill in the rest of that salary for that position that would then be capped, that commission portion, at $41,000. That is how those are the highlights. That's how this was able to happen. And so we always said facility usage of the natatorium. We have the new athletic facilities at the high school, which our phones are already ringing to use them. And so this is the innovative way to think outside the box, not spend additional money, and fulfill our program needs. And so that is a board action item tonight on your personnel report. And that concludes the superintendent report.
Thanks.
Update. You're welcome.
Any board members, any comments, questions? Go ahead, Nate.
I'm on the board of managers for the NICEC, the Special Ed Cooperative. We had our meeting last night. It was a relatively short meeting. It was a record 14 minutes long. We didn't have a lot on the agenda, but some of the agenda items that are of importance. There was a fire alarm inspection conducted by Crown Point, and they found the system not, it's outdated and it needs to be updated. So that's on the agenda for the summer to be completely updated throughout the district, or the co-op. Another thing is we have a retiring LRE paraprofessional who spent 21 years here at Tri Creek, Stephanie Calizay, I believe. And then like us here at Tri Creek, we had a state audit for Title I, II, and IV. Everything passed with flying colors. We had no issues. And the biggest shocker for NICEC is the departure of our executive director, who will be retiring in July, Marcia Horn. That was a shock to all of us, but again, she's okay. It's her family and she's moving down to Indianapolis, so we'll miss her dearly, but that's basically it.
Okay, thanks, Nate. Anybody else have anything? No? Okay. Well, we can go into action items then. So, do I have a motion to approve the non-bid construction items?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Second one, motion for the overnight athletic trip for members of Lowell High School boys track team to participate in the Hoosier State Relays Finals.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next one, overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School girls varsity basketball team to participate in the Charlie Hughes Team Showcase.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, purchase of the dish machine for Oak Hill Elementary School cafeteria.
I'll make a motion. I love dish machines.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
You can be the first to use it, okay? Come on over and commission
I want to be the first in the pool.
it.
Now we get to go to
Get your
donations.
floaties.
right?
Leave it alone.
We signed for these, right? Where do we
So
go?
you would just lump them together and do one vote
From the action consent items?
Yep, so
Okay.
this one.
All right, so then for the action consent items, we have the meeting minutes from Thursday, March 12th, 2026, payroll and claims, and the personnel report.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Kyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, our Vice President, we do have some people in the audience today.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'd be appropriate if two of the people on the personnel report were able to maybe share their thoughts about joining Team Tri Creek.
Can they introduce themselves?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think you all know me. I prepared some comments I wanted to make to the board and to the district. First, I'd like to thank the board and Dr. Anderson for running a very thorough candidate process. My skills and abilities were put to the test. It was intense, and I cannot provide any more examples because I'm tapped out on examples. If I know some of you have sat in an interview with Dr. Anderson, and you know what I'm talking about. It's the hot seat for sure. I'm grateful for the opportunity to become the next lead of Lowell Athletics, a program that has its own legacy of excellence-driven and compassionate leadership. Don Bales and Patty McCormick have built a strong foundation to grow on. As I indicated in my resignation notice to the board, I am proud of the work that we accomplished as we worked together on a shared mission and vision. As I depart my seat, I know that it is in capable and caring hands. I never imagined my involvement in the schools would lead me to become the next director of athletics. However, over time, I discovered that my passion lies in the heartbeat of this town, and that's our student athletes. It's my roots. I'm a graduate of Lowell and a proud parent of two Red Devil athletes. I'm driven to provide the best opportunity for success. And I'm excited to carry out the goals of the board, making our athletics department an asset to our district through strategic growth and the pursuit of excellence. And as you guys just had to discuss the upcoming referendum, I want to assure you that my goal is to promote enrollment in our district and to maintain retention as well of our students through our department. We will also make sure that we are out there supporting and voicing all of the information necessary to get this referendum over the finish line. I'm honored to work alongside Mr. Eric Decker, Keith Kilmer, and the many people that keep athletics running. We will be the standard by which others judge themselves. We will make it a memorable experience for our student athletes and our community, and we will build legacy level programs. RDP.
Happy to have you on, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I know why Katie wanted to go first. That's a tough act to follow. I would echo many of the things that Katie has highlighted here to the board. And first, I want to thank everyone, not only for your approval, but for your support, and not just our board members, but our administrative staff, our families, and the entire community at large. For those who don't know me, I'm Eric Decker. I'm also a graduate of Lowell High School. RDP is more than an acronym for me. It's a way of life. It's a heritage. It's tradition in this community. And it's more than just lip service to me, because I'm a 5th generation graduate of Lowell High School. I played athletics and came up through the same Don Bales and Patty McCormick administrative staffs. And there's so many other coaches and people who have impacted my life. And I know full well that we stand on the shoulders of all those people that came before us, and they forged this path of excellence. And we want to do everything within our power to continue that. You know, it's a passion to me that matters to me as a Lowell person, as a member of the community who also has student athletes coming up. This is very important to me. So again, I'm grateful, I'm humbled, and I can't promise you the moon, but what I can promise you are my values. And that is, I will approach this job with enthusiasm, with energy, with a creative spirit, and with one foot firmly planted in that tradition and that legacy that we've already created as a community. I also want to lean boldly into the future, and I think the sky's the limit for us. And as Katie said, I want to be not just a member of the athletic department, but a strong member of this community. And I want to help in any way I can to make Lowell schools great. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I can't wait to get started, and I'm really excited to work with all of you. So thank you again.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks, guys. Excited to have you on. All right, now we have our donation consent items.
So you can't roll these together.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. $500 donation from Rotary Club of Lowell, Indiana charity gaming account to support the Lowell High School Pride Banquet. A $300 donation from Valparaiso University for Lowell High School New Tech Venture students to prototype business products for the Innovate Within competition. $200 donation from the American Heart Association of Dallas, Texas to support the Lake Prairie Elementary School Student Council. $200 anonymous donation to help support the Lowell High School boys basketball program. $100 donation from Ronald and Denise Vance of Cedar Lake, Indiana for the Lowell High School Paul Hoffman Memorial Scholarship. $100 donation from Crown Brick and Supply of Crown Point, Indiana to help support the Lowell High School girls tennis program. An anonymous $20 donation for the Feed Them Forward Fund. Another anonymous $30 donation for the Feed Them Forward Fund. A $25 donation from Eunice Booker to support Oak Hill Elementary School student activities. A $25 donation from Front Stream Costco Workplace giving to support Oak Hill Elementary School student activities. $819 donation from the Three Creeks Elementary School PTO for the 4th grade class trip.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you to all those donors. We see thousands on here every month. It's great to see. Do we have any public comment not related to the action items today? Our next meeting of the Tri Creek School Board of Trustees is scheduled for Thursday, May 14th at 7 p.m. And I do want to say that we do have a board vacancy. Thanks, Katie. So it is going to be posted tomorrow with details via the website. So this would be a board, the board would appoint her replacement until the end of her term, which would be this November. So it shouldn't be too long. I know lots of people have thought about doing this. It's a good way to get your feet wet and see if you wanna run that. So encourage anybody interested listening, you know, to check it out. So that's it. We can go ahead and close the meeting. Hit the hammer. There we go. All right.